Now, we're going to change gear a little bit today now to bring you today's perspective. My guest on the programme is probably best described, in this context anyway, as a stand-up comedian, but he's a lot more than that as well. Initially a journalist, and he still is, working with various media organisations here in France, including public radio, France Inter. He enjoys as well making sure that humour is very much part of that. His one-man show is called Authentique, or Authentic, being performed this week here in Paris before he heads out across the country into Switzerland as well with performances before, I was told, one last big show in Paris at Olympia in June, but I gather it's sold out already and you've had to organise another couple, so congratulations. David Castello-Lopes is with me here on set. It's quite difficult to describe the show. I was watching bits of it yesterday afternoon because it's not just stand-up, is it? You kind of use clips, bits that you've pre-filmed beforehand to include as part of it.
Exactly. I weave video jokes inside the regular stand-up, and also there's a unifying theme, which is not always the case in stand-up. It's a reflection on the theme of authenticity, and there's a lot of explanatory journalism, I could say, inside it, and even maybe a little bit of philosophy, I hope. And then a lot of jokes, of course. Exactly. And a bit of music as well.
It's a music as well. I mean, you stamp your own personality right at the very start of it as well. There's a little skit about being Jewish and Portuguese. You even laugh, don't you, about what it might have been like if Hitler was Portuguese.
Exactly, if the Nazis had been Portuguese, especially because of the accent. There's a rough edge to the German accent that is kind of lacking in Portuguese, and just to change the accent of the Nazis, I think makes for a rather nice joke.
It does. We can see the images. It doesn't quite work if you play it to an English audience.
Yes.
But I mean, it's quite near the knuckle, isn't it, some of it?
What do you mean by near the knuckle?
Near the knuckle, it's quite, you know, I mean, you're sort of pushing the boundaries, I suppose.
Yes, but I think that I can afford to do that because I am Jewish myself. Yeah. If I hadn't been Jewish, I don't think I would have done that. And I see that it kind of relieves people when they know, when I say that I'm Jewish, they kind of accept the joke a little more. Yeah. It's the same joke, but it's better welcomed if you say you're Jewish.
And that works as well with the authenticity banner. Another bit, you're targeting or looking at marketeers and those happy, jolly faces that we all see on packaging and asking, are those really the people that produce these products?
Exactly. And I went to the bottom of this because I found one of the persons that's actually on one of the packages, someone who deals with fish. Yeah. And this is something I very much enjoyed finding this person, and the thing I wanted to do is just to convey that joy of just finding him.
Yeah, I mean, it turns out that he was authentic in the end.
He was totally authentic, which gives his product some kind of authenticity as well.
So where did the idea come from then to make that the theme of it, if you like, authenticity?
I think I've been thinking about authenticity quite a lot in the last 10 years, and also it's a good unifying theme for a show because it's a very human thing. You never ask yourself if a salmon is sincere or if an otter is lying in some kind of fashion to you. So it's really something human, and there's a lot of jokes to be made. So I think it was a good theme in the way that it's, I think it's kind of, it's an important topic. It concerns everyone. And also, you can make jokes, which is good if you're a stand-up comedian.
So, I mean, how do you define yourself? Are you a journalist? Are you a stand-up comedian?
I think I'm both. I'm both.
And does that work? Because, I mean, if you're 1 minute making people laugh, can they then take you seriously as a journalist?
I think so, but also the kind of journalism that I do is not really, I'm not reporting on deaths about deaths in Iraq. I'm explaining things, and very often there are light subjects. So it's not, you can make jokes and be a journalist at the same time. I was even a journalist for some time at France 24.
Oh, right, okay, I didn't know that.
In the late 2000s.
Right near the beginning. And I mean, there are a lot of poignant moments that keep coming up as well. We've referred to some of them already. Does that make it sort of easier, do you think? Because you're not sort of necessarily after a laugh a minute, are you? There's a bit more...
Exactly. Usually comedians, when you say that, they say, well, you're just a coward. You just say, well, it's not supposed to be funny all the time. No, I think there are... I prefer a better laugh than lots of laughs. There are laughs that you get on stage and that you're not proud of.
Yeah.
And I want to, my goal is to only have the good laughs left.
When you started, you weren't a stand-up comedian, were you? Where did that sort of change in direction come from?
I started out as a pretty normal journalist, I'd say.
Working at France 24, there's not much stand-up at France 24.
Exactly. But then I started to include tongue-in-cheek remarks in my pieces, and then there was a big turn, I think, in 2012 when I pitched a specific type of story to Canal+, which was called the Chiffroscope, and I answered questions about current affairs like the poverty in the world and inequalities, and it was a cartoon. And there were little characters in it, and I started making jokes with the characters, and that kind of started me off as someone who makes jokes.
Let's finish up by talking about the show again. There's another part of it which made me laugh quite a lot, but again, very near the knuckle. When you dress up as a Muslim and you're performing as if you are a Muslim, it's difficult. Difficult to watch, but I mean, it worked. It
worked also, I think, because I kind of explain why this could be taken as appropriation, cultural appropriation, and there's a little skit about cultural appropriation itself. So I think that people understand that I'm on. I don't mean bad. But of course, at the beginning, there was not the little skit was not part of it. It was just me singing a song in Arabic, and I learned a bit of Arabic to be able to do it. But of course, I was scared, and my girlfriend particularly said, well, "You're gonna get yourself killed," and I didn't get killed, and I get good laughs with this particular bit. So I think it's
I mean, you're proving in a way that not everything is authentic.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's where it comes from, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well, shows, you've got loads of them, haven't you, coming up over the next year, really, leading right up till next summer. What's that like, going out on tour and performing in front of people? You might have been used to doing it behind a microphone or behind a camera, but now you've got a live audience.
It's better in a way because you get the laughs that I might have gotten in my videos. You're not here to witness them, and now I'm witnessing them. Sorry. There's a good thing with the fact that doing things that are on stage is that you can always work on the piece. When you're a journalist, you file the piece and it's over, and there's no really going back to making it better. The show, I'm always improving it, and that's a big joy.
Okay, well, good to know there is a life after France 24 as well. Thanks very much for coming in and talking to us today. David Castello-Lopes, as I say, if you look up on his website, you'll find out where all those shows are. Of course in French, but I'm sure you speak a bit of French, you'd understand it. Thanks very much for coming in. Let's have a look at the main news headlines for you.